All these people already signed in early.
Hello, hello. Happy New Year. Look at all these early birds. It's so delightful.
I said the same thing.
Great minds, Bryant. Great minds. GMTA. Oh, man. Oh, Angela, good. You made it. Hey, Emily. All right. Indeed. Everyone is so excited to get this new year going. That is for sure. We've looks like we've got a couple minutes, so I'm going to just mute myself. All right. Uh, it is 2 o'clock, so I say let's get going. Welcome to 2025's first General Staff Council meeting. Woohoo! Um, thank you all for being here. We've got all sorts of stuff happening today. We have two speakers. Jason Perry is going to be here at 2:30 to give us a legislative update, which should be fascinating, followed by 2:45, Tatiana. Um, I don't even want to mispronounce her last name. Tatiana from HR is going to talk about the update on the U Career Project. So somewhere in there, we will get our updates in. And also, Ashley, I'm looking to you. If we need to take a break at some point, I assume you'll make the big break sign. So accordingly. But just as a reminder, as we get going, the four pillars that we've been focusing on this year are to keep in mind a sense of professionalism, teamwork, assuming positive intent, and fostering community. Um, and now I'm going to pass it over to Ashley.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Per the Robert's Rules of Orders, I sent the minutes from the November meeting yesterday, Tuesday, January 7th. No one sent me any edits or said I did it wrong, so that was nice, and I appreciate that. So just a reminder that only the full members of Staff Council can vote, and I am going to ask you to raise your hand electronically because I don't have, it will count for me. I don't have the ability to scroll that fast and count. So I need to ask for a motion to approve the minutes as sent.
I will make a motion.
Thank you, Brian. And then who will second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor, please raise your hand and leave it up until I ask you to put it down. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Okay, if you guys could all put your hands down. And then any voting nay. And any abstaining. All right, the minutes were passed. Thank you very much, you guys. It looks like now we're going to a UUSC update with Bryant Gordon.
No updates. No updates for right now. We'll have another meeting shortly where we were supposed to be meeting with a member of UUSC to discuss one of the House bills and ask questions about it. That's been pushed back a couple of times. That individual wasn't able to come, so I don't have any updates at the moment.
Excellent. Thank you. And then I'll give a quick update on the last Board of Trustees meeting, which was back in, back in December. It was a quickie. The highlights being we just gave them an update on what Staff Council had been doing in the past month. And then we actually have our next trustees meeting next week. And just a reminder, if you want to follow the excitement live, it will be posted and is posted every month at utah.edu/live. They do a live stream of the Board of Trustees meeting. So yeah, there was not a lot to report from that. The Academic Senate meeting, we had that. That was on the 6th. Seems so long ago, and it was only Monday. As they tend to be, very exciting, also open to the public. Anyone who wants to join can attend those. The highlights of that were Dr. Good spoke on behalf of the president and Dr. Montoya. And his big call outs were obviously that he is wrapping up his role as the head of U Health at the end of this month, welcoming in Dr. Bob Carter, who will be starting in February to be the head person over on the health side. The other two announcements had to do with, if any of you have seen the article that came out in At the U, the provost has launched an internal search for a new vice provost and senior dean of the colleges and schools of liberal arts and sciences. That's a mouthful. And the intent right now is that the heads of College of Science, CSBS, School of Transformation, and who am I missing? College of Humanities, that they will all retain their deans as they are, who are still in charge of academics for each of those entities, but that this new role will oversee their shared services plan. So they've just announced the committee and the deadline. In case you know anyone who wants to apply, because it's internal only, is going to be next Friday. And I believe their goal is to have someone in place by the end of February. So talked about that. And then another piece that came up at the Academic Senate, just to make you all aware, is the provost has also launched a new well-being and resilience task force for students, faculty, and staff. That's being led by Keith Diaz-Moore. And we just had a very first initial meeting, but we'll be meeting every other week starting this Friday, I believe, and more to come as we're forming what the role is of that task force. So that's the skinny. Any questions about UHESA, Board of Trustees, Academic Senate? Okay. All right. Excellent. So let's jump into, keeping an eye on the clock, let's jump into our committee updates. Susan, what's going on with development?
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. And we're just working with some members of the advancement team that we connected with towards the end of fall semester. And it took us until after New Year's to actually find a time where we could all meet together, but it was very productive. And they're going to, in particular, help us to do very targeted purging of our mailing list so that we can make sure that we're getting to all the right people and none of the wrong people. There are some people on that list that are extraordinarily generous in donating to one cause or another at the university and have been asked because of their, they've already committed and they're already on board with other programs and other opportunities, that they've been asked not to get barraged with emails and the like. And we want to honor those requests. So we're going to be working closely with the advancement team. We'll probably be, Marie, putting on any imminently coming up emails on hold until we get to that point where we feel confident. And again, this is email solicitations for professional development awards. And that's it really for me.
And quick question, Susan, could you remind me again, when are you meeting with development, or have you met with them?
We met with them last week and on Friday. And
okay.
I think I sent a thank you email to them, Marie, in copied you on that, just so you would know that it had happened. And
Okay.
but we have not yet scheduled a follow-up meeting. They're going to kind of look at it and let us know when they're ready, basically, to come back to us and discuss what they can do. But it's great because it's like basically a partnership with the advancement team. They're on board with our goals and our agenda, and basically there to make sure that we are successful in the best possible way.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Fantastic. Melissa, what is going on with events?
Yes. So let me make sure I get these dates right. So this is like an ongoing one. For any of the upcoming gymnastics meets, we have been given a link, if you will, for discount tickets. I will grab that and put it in the chat. And then, so that code works for any, like I said, any gymnastics meet coming up. They are great, fun to watch. Go support the youths. Unfortunately, there is no parking included, sorry, but you can ride tracks. The other one is on January 17th. We are hosting a staff council, if you will. Dial M for Murder at Pioneer Theater Company. That is a Friday. They are also extending their 50% off, so you can bring other family and friends. So come enjoy that. I won't be there because I'm going tonight, but I will give a full report on how good it is. So excited for that. The last thing is the following week on the 25th is the Grizzlies game. If you like hockey, it's not the Utah hockey team, but it's still a great event. Grizzlies team are awesome. They love staff council, especially, or I should say they love the U, but especially staff council. So when you go, if you see like one of the employees or whatever at the arena, be sure to give them a shout out and thank them because they're always great to work with. And recognizing the work that we do, especially on staff councils. So those are it for January. Stay tuned as we will be having the blood drive come up in February. So give love, give blood, and we'll go. Yeah, once we have a location, that's what we're just waiting on. So there you go.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Krista, do you have any additional comments, updates before we hear from Jason from the Legislative Committee?
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to let, Jason, take the lead here. But the only thing would be that the legislative 2025 Utah legislative session starts January 20. I was just looking at it, 21st to March 7th. So just a heads up on that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Selections. Is Melanie on the call?
Mel would not be able to, wasn't able to make it today, and she says she has no updates.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry,
Oh.
really quick. She sent me the professional development application deadline is January 15th. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you, Chantel. That's awesome. Comms, I see that Anne is not on the call today, but just to give an update for her, she has started working on the digest for our end of semester project when we'll present what we've been up to this past year. So I just want to give everyone on staff council, thank you for submitting any images, facts, logos, descriptions to her by the end of January. It would be greatly appreciated.
Um, Marie, if I could add,
Absolutely.
next week, the staff council, in connection with the Utah Women of Higher Education, are having their first book club meeting. And we will be putting that out on social media probably today or tomorrow. So that'll be there. So
What's the book, Brian?
the book is The Archive of Alternative Endings, and it is fascinating. It's written by, I believe it's a member of staff or faculty here at the university, and um, it is a very unique format. Let's put it that way. I've really enjoyed it so far.
She's one of our faculty. She's English creative writer. It's a really good book.
There you go. Cool. Yeah.
Woohoo! And please remind us all again of that date.
That is on the Wednesday, January 15th, between 12:15 and 1 p.m. And it is in the Marriott Library in room 5201. Light snacks and tea will be provided.
Excellent.
And,
Excellent.
yeah, very.
Thanks,
I'll be there
Brian.
too. So
Excellent. Well, you've inspired me, so thank you. Groovy. David, Thomas, what's going on with new staff connections?
Hi
Or-
everybody. I think the last big thing that happened since our last general meeting is that we have started the email drip campaign. We've had a couple different months of the first touch point email going out. That's to all staff that have joined in the last month. So we've done that twice now. And then pretty soon we'll start running into the second touch point email, which will contact those same people once they've been with the university about 3 months and then at 1 year. And it's just messaging to make sure that they are connected to resources here at the U, feel welcome, feel like they're part of the larger staff community from day one, right? So that's really the biggest thing. We'll be looking at some other projects going forward, but that's hit the ground, and that's been a long time coming. So we're really excited about that.
And what's exciting too about that as well is that the thing that people seem to be engaging with the most are really those deals and discounts, the perks. So just putting in a plug for that. And Jake Sorensen, I saw you on this call earlier. I think we have a great opportunity to help support new staff as they join the U. So
Yes, let's do it.
I think we have a meeting to discuss that in more depth. So very excited about that. And then our ABC committee, is Ray on the call? Ray or Jason Heniosa?
I am here.
Yay!
Brian stole my thunder. I was gonna talk about
Dang it.
the UN book club
Sorry.
as well, but that's okay. I don't think I have any other updates. Happy New Year, everyone.
All right. Excellent. Dandy, it's 2:18. I saw Jason has joined the call. Thank you, Jason. Why don't we, well, I don't want to mess up our timing. Jason, do you want to start your presentation now, or we
I don't
can-
go. Hey, Marie, this is your show. Just whatever you want. Okay. I
Yeah.
can hang out for a minute too while you do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I think this is probably a good break before we jump into liaison updates. So maybe, Jason, let's pass it over to you.
Okay. Well, sorry to disrupt. I hope I don't too much, but it's good to see you all. Love the staff council. And every year we try to come through. I see a few familiar names for over the years that we talk about things happening for the session. Good to be with you all. I think Natalie Tippett, are you on, Tippett? Okay. Natalie will be
Yes, I
joining
am.
us short.
I'm here
short.
too. Sorry.
All right, good. I want to make sure everyone knows and sees Natalie Tippett. So David and Marie wanted me to talk for a moment about some of the things coming for the legislative session. For those of you who watch it closely, and there are a few of you that do, it starts on the 21st. And as you may recall, I always kind of lead with this so you can kind of see how it grows every year. But we saw over 1,300 bills last legislative session that got drafted. I will tell you, I think we're going to hit that number easily again this year, just based on the great interest from our legislature, and it's a pretty broad range of topics that they're interested in. As you all recall, somewhere like 940, 950 of the bills each year, they get drafted, they get some committee time, and 540-ish seem to be the amount the legislature can get passed during the 45 days. And there are a lot of bills being drafted right now, and every single day. And I know a couple of you follow very closely. If you go to that website at le.utah.gov, you can see the bill files that have been opened, and there are a bunch that already impact us here at the University of Utah, which we're following closely. I told David I'd talk about a couple of those, and then I'll just answer questions about some as well. But one of the things that is top of everyone's mind, I'm going to get into the priorities and then the bills. Our priorities for this legislative session, let me start with compensation, which you know is always our number one priority. We've been pushing for as high as we can, but right now the number appears to be 2.5%. Keep in mind, this is not a COLA. It's not keeping up with inflation anyway, but it's like, but the compensation part, the legislature is starting with a recommendation from the governor at 2.5%. Just so you know, compensation has been in years past and will continue to be our number one priority for the legislative session. I mentioned that because I'm going to start talking about potential cuts in a second, but these are two separate conversations. So those of you who are watching this know that we could see some cuts to our overall budgets and still see an increase in compensation. We do need an increase in compensation. I know you at Staff Council see it more closely than anyone, what an issue this is for retention and recruitment for people here at our university. So we will continue to be pushing for that as our number one priority to the legislature. Our other priority is we're trying to expand our medical school class. As many of you know, like BYU, for example, is going to be starting a medical school. We have need as they have their ramp up to increase our class size, and this is the window for us to do that. A good portion of the students that we get funding allocation for will be located in Washington County, down in St. George area. This is a very growing part of the state of Utah for our health sciences. It's a place where we need to be. It will be done in a partnership with Utah Tech University. And I'll talk about the budget for a minute, but this is not just our number one priority, but for those of you who have helped me and helped Natalie in the past, you may recall every session there's this list of things, these requests for appropriation that come in. Sometimes they're pretty random, sometimes we know what they are, and we're working on those. This year, the priority list, it was done first by us, and then we submit our priority list to the system of higher education. And then they prioritize all of them, and they submit that prioritized list to the legislature, to our committees. It's the first year that this has happened. And for some in the legislature, this is their effort of saying, why don't we stop having, every school has their kind of their known request for appropriation and the unknown ones, and where do they come from, and what's a priority? This is their effort. The request for our medical school is the number one priority of the whole system of higher education also, which is pretty good. So it leaves us in a good position for our request this year. The budget, as you've read in the newspaper articles and from the governor's press releases, is fairly flat this year. Some of you heard me talk about this. Last year, this was all Senator Jerry Stevenson. He chairs the Appropriations Committee. Last year, he called it a socks and underwear year. You remember that? Okay, all we're going to be able to fund is socks and underwear. This year, in fact, he told me again this morning, it's socks, and we're going to be wringing out the socks, which is kind of gross now that I think about it. But that was the imagery he gave us this morning in one of his speeches. Revenues are sort of flat. So there will not be enormous appropriations, but there'll be the legislature has a pretty high priority list right now. Top of the list is almost all things associated with energy. So you're going to see a lot of that. Everything, from distribution to small modular nuclear reactors. There you go. I'm giving it to you here first. All right. So these are the kind of things that we're watching for. Let me get to this piece of legislation that I know everyone's watching is this proposed budget cut, this 10% budget cut and reallocation. I'll answer questions about this after I explain it and just try to give you where we think it's going. There's some in the legislature, in the House in particular, that want to make sure that the state is contributing to the portions of higher education that have, and this is just them, all right? I'm not giving you, I'm just giving you what they're saying. That they have return on investment, all right? So are the jobs, are the students getting jobs that are aligned with workforce needs of the state of Utah? Are they getting the kind of jobs that are benefiting economically? Are there some portions of the universities, and it's not just the U, it's every university. Are there portions of the University of Utah or name your other school where a huge amount of resources are going into programs that are not having an economic value? I'll just say those are the words, all right? And now let me talk to you about kind of what we're working through right now is, some are worried that these are aimed specifically at certain programs or certain kind of degrees. President Randall has been on the Hill numerous times. I mean, more times than you would normally do, but right before a legislative session, working on this issue, knowing that. But as we look at the cut and the reallocation, they're not going to be based on ideology, So I know that that's where things tend to, people start talking about, not you, but out there. Is it just like you pick a program, we don't like the ideology, it's not we, just kind of the generic, like the legislature or something like that. That is not where we are going as a university. We have a responsibility to teach students in places that they want to be. And President Randall's been very clear about that with the legislature. So with these negotiations, here's what I think is going to happen. First, I think there will be a 10% budget cut, and it will be given back to the university with what I think will be 4 or 5 guidelines, sort of guardrails, like this is where we think you should put the money back into the university. And I think they'll be broad enough for us to work through what we need to as a university, but no one should look back and just say everyone's just getting a flat 10%. There will be some reallocations back and forth, various places. But I think that the 5 guidelines that will be drafted by the system of higher education, given to the legislature, will give us some latitude on these programs. So those of you who are working in certain programs, I wouldn't say, hey, I've heard that ours might be on the chopping block, and so we're just going to lose all our money. That is not going to be the case. So there may be broad, like, there are a couple of things we could do. I mean, there could be like a 10% across the board everywhere, and then you reallocate based on these guidelines. But what happens, and President Randall's been quite specific about this, is it's not going to be based on ideology. So I think that's the biggest concern we hear, which is an appropriate concern, and I think we've resolved that largely. But there are 2 drafts of this, just so you know. I'm giving you all kinds of stuff here, so I hope you don't mind just the candid sausage being made of sorts. One is the money is taken, and it's right around $20 million for the University of Utah. So it'd be 10% based on instructional costs. So it's just around 20 million for us. And they may want to just take that $20 million and give it to the system of higher education, earmark that this is the University of Utah money, and they reallocate it back to us based on this criteria that they develop. Our preference is that the money doesn't disappear, that it stays here at the university. We can earmark it here, money set aside for reallocation. So anyway, we're still in negotiations on that particular point, but we know the dollar amount, and we're having a lot of opportunity to give input on how it's reallocated. The money will stay, and for those that think that my program is just going to be targeted, President Randall has been a great protector of that argument. Okay, now fire away on that particular one. I'll answer questions the best I can.
Any questions?
If you don't, you can follow up with me. I know so many. Oh, sorry, Marie.
I was just curious. What is the timing, do you think, of, let's say the 10% budget goes through and we get these guidelines? What would you see as the time frame for receiving those guidelines and then enacting them?
Yeah. So what I expect, there are going to be two parts to that answer. So I expect that we will see the guidelines probably codified. So we'll see those right away in the bill itself. Usually this is a July 1st sort of implementation. But with programs like this, just say hypothetically, I'm not going to give you any particular program because we just never know. We'd have to work through all of this stuff. But if you have a particular program, you've got students in there. You don't just cut a program that has students in it. And we're not going to cut the program anyway, but just say you have students in that, you got to have like a period of time where you sort of teach out what's happening in these programs. You give a chance for some for the changes if there needs to be some. And so I expect you have sort of a 3-year window of implementation on these. I think the budget cut will come, as part of the statute, but we're going to have a little bit of a window to work through. I mean, that's just the reality of the universities.
Just one other question I have. Well, while we've got you, this is such a joy. Do you see are there any bills out there, and I haven't looked, that are HB 261 2.0?
Yeah, I appreciate you watching out for that. We're watching out for it too. No, there are no bills right now they're looking. I've been told they're looking for a breather on this legislation, and which we think is appropriate. All of the changes have not been implemented everywhere, and our legislature is just watching that closely. If there are changes, Marie, and I know, David, you're doing government relations with the staff council, we'll just coordinate with you directly and just engage you right away if we see any of those bills come down. That's a good segue to one part is maybe while Natalie's here, she can talk about the bill tracking list that we like to share with all of you that we'd love to have you participate in. Natalie, you want to take a minute on that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So what we do is every week, Friday afternoon, we send out an email with our bill tracking list of the bills that we're watching. On that list includes sort of a overview of what the bill content is, where it is in the legislative process, if it's in a committee or if it's just still being drafted. And then if it's a major concern, whether or not we need folks weighing in on it. So like a must pass or must kill or just sort of a wait and see type scenario. So if any of you would like to join our bill watch list, just shoot us an email at the governmentrelations.utah.edu website. I think you actually have it on the staff council website too. It just auto populates our email address. It will let me know that you want to be on that bill watch list, and you can just plan to receive those bills. And if you see anything that you're concerned about, you're more than welcome to email Jason and myself, and we will add those bills to our list and have the attorneys and the Office of General Counsel review them as well to check out the impacts and whether or not we need to address them or not.
Natalie does an amazing job keeping track of these bills. And, sometimes the impact on us is very clear. Sometimes there's some sort of indirect impacts, which is what some of you may see and say, hey, did you notice this as a potential impact of this bill? This is a time when we just really need your input. Over the years, staff council has proven to be a resource that helps us a lot on these bills. Sometimes we'll come to you and say, hey, this is the issue. We may need you to contact legislators, or we may need you to shore up some information based on where you are or what department is impacted. But we just need your eyes and ears on this legislation. We're pretty good at keeping track of it, but we're pretty good at knowing exactly what it's intended to do. But you always find something. Like, did you know this? And I know those of you who have worked with us in the past, I just want to reiterate, we are actively engaged in modifying legislation. So if there's a bill that has a negative impact that we might be able to work on, just keep in mind we can fix problems that impact us without necessarily needing to kill a bill. There's just a lot of negotiation in this. So if you see something, say, hey, if with this one tweak or these couple words or whatever it is, we're really good at working with legislators on that. And so as staff council, if you're willing to once again be be on the wall there with us reviewing some of those. And if you have some bills that come across your desk and you say, I just need to know about this, this is all we're doing really 24 hours a day for this 45 days. So you just got to text us and we will respond and just use your wisdom. Comments on that? Okay. There will be a lot of bills impacting us, and we're already negotiating a lot of those. I just feel like saying this, even though we're talking about cuts and some of the, even though higher ed is sort of on the menu in many ways, I'm not sure I can remember a time when the University of Utah was more respected with our legislature. It's really interesting. They see us as a resource more than ever. And some of the concerns, I'll tell you, those of you who've done this in the past, it used to be they'd be upset about something, and something would come that we'd have no idea about. That is not the case anymore. We're just in regular communication. They want to know where the University of Utah is on things. Anyway, that's a change that has happened with President Randall, and I think because of the good work of many of you who have been helping to build those relationships, which doesn't mean you agree on everything, but it means you got some mutual ground to work through. Okay, comments, questions, tippets, anything else I was missing? Marie?
Jason.
Hey, Jason
Jason has a question.
I love it. Thanks for keeping us safe, Jason, as always. Did he just disappear?
I'm still here.
I saw his picture for a minute. Now I don't. Okay, fire away.
Yeah, I don't know if I keep anyone safe because I'm always in my office. So I keep my office safe. I'm pretty secure right here, right?
Good.
I'm an indoor cop now. Let's put it that way. Yeah, just a quick question because I've been going over House Bill 133. And just a question because it's pretty extensive, but the definition of school premises has been changed to remove higher education.
Yeah.
Is that covered somewhere else, or do I need to keep reading?
No, you need to keep going. So,
Okay.
That bill, we're going to keep working on that. Of course, when it comes to guns and those kinds of things, it's not modifying completely 76. I was going to show I was kind of a statutory nerd. 7610.505.5, which is what we're still working on, Jason. So we've been asked to come meet with the legislature about that particular bill. So we'll need you. And you're right. There is an effort. There is an effort right now on those to sort of, not just clear up the gray area, but to make it very clear that open carry is everywhere on campus.
Yeah. Well, anything I can do to help out, I'm very interested in this particular aspect of legislation. So,
as always, you'll be enlisted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I probably took up too much time. Marie, you're such a great leader. David, thank you for giving me the chance. I'm glad to work with you and your committee. Sometimes as I get ready to leave, sometimes during the session, there are some bills where, the university doesn't often take like a public position on bills, but there are some that we're clearly we're okay with, and some that are much more challenging. So sometimes when we reach out to you, and Dave, if you're willing to be the one that does this with us too, sometimes we'll send out to you, here's the bill, here's when it's up in committee, and here are 5 talking points. So we have some consistency of message when we work with the legislature or the key stakeholders. And however you all want to do that. But Dave, is that okay if we kind of coordinate with you and Marie on that?
Yeah, and Krista Kendall is our
where's Krista?
chair. Krista, I saw her face, and then
I would have said that.
Right here, sorry.
Yes, yeah, Krista's here
Krista,
too. So
yeah,
I
Dave
can't see you.
scheduled the meeting on
where are
behalf.
you?
Sorry.
I still
Maybe
can't
if I
see her.
raise
I'm not
my
sure
hand.
if I might be technologically behind.
there we go.
But
There you
Krista is always amazing. And Krista, did I say anything or anything I need to expand on or take away?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Krista's always, she's been a stalwart over the years with us on this stuff. So thank you, Krista. I still can't see you for some reason, but I hear your voice. So I know we got you. All right.
Excellent.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for giving us a moment. I hope I didn't interrupt too much on your timing, but we need you. So get ready.
Jason.
We lost Marie. I was going to assume she was going to say something nice,
Thank
and then we'll
you.
just jump out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye, everyone.
And all right. See you later. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, we got lots of stuff to watch. Oh, did I see a question? Somebody had a question and then it went away. Well, if you think of it again, please shout. And then, so we're a wee bit ahead of schedule. Very impressive. And I understand that Tatiana is on the call. So Tatiana, do you want to start presenting 5 minutes early and give us an update on UCareers project?
Fantastic. Thank you, Marie. Good to
Yeah.
see you guys. I see a lot of familiar faces, so this is great. I know some of you I'm recognizing from the UCareer Alliance, and we've been meeting for the past year and some month. Thank you for inviting me. I just wanted to give you a kind of very brief update on the UCareer. I know there are some new faces here as well, so please forgive me if I repeat something that you already know. But if we have these 5 extra minutes, hopefully we'll use them for some questions, if that's okay. Marie, what's my total time that I have? Can you?
Oh,
about 10, 15 minutes?
20 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Okay. If you don't mind, I actually have a little presentation that I put together. I'm going to share my screen. My technology is acting up today. Can you guys please let me know when you can actually see my screen?
Absolutely.
Is it up?
Not for me yet. No.
It looks like it's...
I see a sweet little pup.
Oh, thank you. We just lost her, so this is... Okay, let me get into the presentation mode. 1 second. Come on. Sorry, having issues with everything. Everything is crashing today. There we go. All right. So for those of you who are new or who haven't heard, we are working on a massive project that is going to touch all of the staff positions on campus. The project is called UCareer. In simple terms, it is a compensation or classification re-indexing project, right? So as you know, and I know most of you who've been here for a while, you face these challenges where we are we don't have very clear career path for our employees. We don't have very good job descriptions that are up to date and kind of current with the markets. We don't have very good market matches actually for quite a few of our positions. We have some employees who are very frustrated because they get into this one position. I mean, I was actually literally talking to somebody last year, and they've been in the same job code for the last 20 years, and there has been no movement, and they're sharing that job code with somebody who's been with us for 2 months versus these a little over 20 years. And so there's not really any excitement or any clarity for employees to progress with us, or and for some of them they're saying there's not really a reason to stick around, so to speak, when there are no career opportunities and there's no definition there. So what employees do is they go to their supervisors, and then supervisors are frustrated and they said, well, I don't know what to do. And so we actually started seeing some of the departments creating their own kind of shadow compensation structures where they're creating their own career progressions and ladders. And you know what? I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? So what we did is we actually got a big library together of all of these different job codes that are standard in the industry. And we've used a Radford structure with slight modifications and actually created a new UCareer structure that we will be implementing this year. This project is kind of been driven by many different groups, and there's been a lot of input into it, but I just wanted to list the main ones that been associated with this project. So of course, it's the senior leadership, the cabinet, the president. Those folks are completely behind, and of course our VPs and deans, they're all very supportive because they have experienced all these pains that I've mentioned before over time. Of course, the main HR is the one that is driving the project in terms of creating structures and then helping departments to implement them eventually. And as far as HR, it's not just my team, and I'm a director of compensation and business intelligence, but we have the rest of the HR, like training and recruitment and employee relations. We have embedded services. Everybody's really teaming up and kind of making this U-Career project their priority. We have also formed, and I've mentioned that I saw some familiar faces. We formed the U-Career Alliance in October of last year. So we've been working very hard. We've been meeting every month and then actually weekly for U-Career Tuesdays, where we discuss the project. And we've been through the entire library. We've reviewed all of the job descriptions. We've reviewed structures. We've made adjustments. We're trying to make these new structures feel as much of our own as we possibly can. Of course, it's not going to feel completely super comfortable when we actually transition, because it is a change, right? But we wanted to get as close to that comfort level as possible. We also created, and this is first time ever, we've created professional cohorts. These professional cohorts represent the various areas of our job codes or professions, really. So you're looking at finance and operations and administration. We have a healthcare cohort, and IT and marketing, communications, research, engineering, all kinds of different groups that are now helping us guide some of these creation of the career progressions, and we'll discuss what those are, and new job codes in the future. For example, we haven't had these professional cohorts, and years ago when we started getting these data scientists, for example, we weren't prepared. So we haven't had any market data. We weren't participating in the surveys that would tell us about them. Now we have cohorts that can actually say, hey, Tatiana, we actually saw this in our professional seminars or professional conferences that we go to. There's something like this on the horizon. Let's start looking at it. We would love to have something like that at the university. How can we find the job description? How can we price it? And so they kind of give us heads up. That's one way the cohorts help. But the biggest way they help is they actually create and will help us maintain the vision for these professions on campus for the future. Right. So we are slowly starting to standardize across campus. Again, don't be afraid of the word standardize. We're not dictating pay, for any department. We know there are special cases, but we're creating structures where you can actually exist comfortably, and employees will understand what the structures are, and it will be easier for them to have conversations with their supervisors, who hopefully will also understand the structures. So professional cohorts are very much involved in this. To help us work with the professional cohorts, we've enlisted a company called Huron. So they're third-party consultants. They came in and they helped us organize the cohorts, and they helped the cohorts to review all of the libraries, and actually they all came back with fantastic recommendations, which we implemented all of them into our new library. So with that, oops. I've mentioned some of these career progressions. So what is a career progression? Career progression is simply a job code like accountant, but now you have accountant 1, 2, 3, 4, and progressively higher, and kind of more demanding jobs that are more requiring more experience, more expertise, and more pay. So we will have employees who will occupy all of these different positions. So let's say, I don't know, this gray one maybe is accountants, right? So we have various accountants on campus. They're in these job codes, which then in turn will be organized by career progression. So maybe this gray bubble is accounting career progression. So that's what hosts accountant 1, accountant 2, accountant 3, 4, and so forth. And then in turn, these career progressions are also organized into tracks. And so tracks is something that we haven't had before either. And it is something that we're very proud of to introduce. We will have 4 different tracks, so executive, management, professional, and support. Support track is where your introductory positions or kind of, foot in the door. There's also a lot of trade positions in there. You can also view that support track as what will be feeding the professional and management tracks as well. This is our big hope that that's how the careers will develop. You'll see these kids with, when they're graduating, sometimes they will enter either in the kind of lower professional track levels or in the higher support track levels, and then start growing in their careers. The biggest thing that I want to point out here is the management track. So it's kind of the definition of that is very intuitive. So it's the people who are managing others, right? So these are people managers. And professional track, these people are individual contributors. We do have 2 different ones. These are general and life sciences. Life sciences is basically scientists who have PhDs. We will have very few of them, but the majority of us will be here in this professional and management tracks. So for the first time ever, instead of putting professional track at the bottom here where the management kind of sits on top of the professional track, we're now equating them in their contribution to the university, in their leadership, and for a large part in pay as well. So I know a lot of you, especially those who've been with us for a while, have had situations where you had somebody on your staff who was an individual contributor and you wanted to promote them and you kind of ran out either of job codes for individual contributors or ran out of the grade range. And so you were basically forced to place this individual contributor into a management track. Well, sometimes it's a good match. Sometimes, people are just natural leaders. They thrive in management track. But we also know, and there are cases where people are just not interested in the management track and they are not interested in working or supervising people. And that's totally fair as well, right? And so some of you reached out to us and said, hey, you know what, I promoted this individual and they were a fantastic contributor before. Now that they're a manager, they're stressed out and I really don't get the value that I had from that employee now that they're a manager. So this will allow you to grow kind of natural leaders and those who are interested in management track here in this track, and then actually promote and appreciate your individual contributors at the equal level. So a person who is not a manager can actually get to a higher level in the individual contributor line of work without losing pay. So hopefully that will also help us with retention. This project is partitioned into 2 different phases. We're now working on phase 1. Phase 1 are the positions within kind of your general operations and technology, healthcare research and finance, engineering, career progressions, right? So fields. Phase 2, think about phase 2 as everything that you would typically find in a higher education institution. So positions like academic advisors or academic program coordinators, anything that is built around faculty, not including faculty, however, because this project is only for staff. And by the way, it's for main campus only. Hospital is working kind of on their own version of a similar project that they will introduce later. But for right now, it is us, main campus, staff only, excludes faculty, but does include all of the health academics, if you have a question on that. So these phases are already planned out. The phase 1 is the one that we are in the completion stages of development here. Whoops. This is a timeline. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but I want to discuss something that is coming up really fast and that's important. and that would be this number 4. So in January, we have kind of a public launch or public view of the UCareer project. What we call it is the UCareer Job Library public preview. What's going to happen on January 15th is we will publish the beautiful webpage that Marie and her team and others have helped us put together, and that contains a lot of UCareer resources. That page will actually have a link to the UCareer library. That library will contain all of the career progressions that have been approved that we will be using, and all of the job codes associated with those career progressions. We're not rolling out the project fully because we're still in these final stages of completion. So we're working with the UCareer Alliance with kind of preliminary placements for the employees. Those placements, again, I would stress they're preliminary. This is not something that will be going into the system yet. This is just kind of the vision of the UCareer Alliance for their departments. Those are due back to us on January 21st, and that's when this review stage will start. The review stage will include the cabinet, president, C-level individuals will have finance look at it. The UCareer Alliance obviously already has been working on it for over a year and knows well what's happening. The deans have been informed about this. So this stage is very important. If the stage gets approved as is, or the project gets approved as is, then we will actually go through with these placements. If it doesn't, and we need to make some changes, some tweaks, then we will keep you guys informed as to what will be changing and what the time frame will be for these changes. But right now we are in that phase 1. We are planning on kicking off phase 2, if everything goes well, in June of this year. And by kicking off, I mean the development side of it. So we're not placing anybody in June. We're not doing any of that. This is just for starting the development. I put together just a little list of what an employee can expect if or when this project is approved and we have a go-ahead to start placing. The new job code and new title will be assigned. We will actually, it's exciting because we will be going from the 4-digit job code to a 6-digit job code. And that 6-digit job code has a meaning each digit actually means something and tells us something where this job belongs to or belongs at. So new job code and title. If somebody, like I mentioned, if I'm an accountant right now, I can expect to be, I don't know, accountant level 2 in the professional track, something like that. And I will have a new grade associated with my position. Employees can also expect clear career progressions. We are actually tying together some of the support, professional, and management career progressions to actually create the path that would be easier for the employee to identify. There will be no change to the employee's duties and responsibilities, and therefore there will be no change to their pay. This is an important note. There are no additional funds associated with the UCareer project. There might be some instances where UCareer Alliance members might reach out to the supervisors or employees for some clarifications. We want to make sure that these placements or preliminary placements are as close to the actual qualifications of employees as possible. So don't be surprised if you hear somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, so-and-so is asking if I have a bachelor's degree or if I have a master's degree. Is that okay? Don't be alarmed. This is just for kind of their records so they can place these individuals or assign correct job code to them. Once everything goes through, if this project is approved, the employees will actually get a notification about a week before the effective date. And that notification will say, something like, you are now in this job code with this pay. You will be moved to this job code with this pay. This is your new grade. If the employee is changing, so if the job code is switching from exempt to non-exempt, for example, there will be a few cases like that. Then they will get instructions on how to start tracking their hours. If there's change to their benefits, and that can happen if somebody's in the director level position now, but they might be placed in like a senior manager type of position, they will have change in benefits. So they will be notified of that. Your career will bring a lot of change, and so it will be an emotional transition for some employees. We have over time, as an institution, kind of inflated or overinflated our titles. So as you probably have noticed, we have a lot of directors, we have a lot of senior directors, we have a lot of managers, and to whom nobody reports to them, right? Some of those things will change, and so you will see a slight deflation of titles, which might be an emotional or emotionally challenging issue for some employees, right? There will be no cuts in pay. That's one of the most important things. So even though somebody's title might be changing, or, it can be perceived as a demotion, it's not really a demotion, but can be perceived as such. We are actually encouraging the UCareer Alliance to use or to mitigate those situations with the working titles. So for example, if I am a director now and I'm being now placed into, let's say, senior manager position, we are allowing for the department to let me keep my director working title, even though I will be in the job code that perhaps has a lower title. So we're working, trying to make this change as comfortable as possible for the employees, but at the same time, we need to have everybody in the right bucket, so to speak, where we can price positions correctly and position ourselves for the future also, right? We want to create pathways for the employees and also make sure that they're paid correctly and that we have also this internal equity as well. It's very challenging. So yes, this project brings a lot of positives and a lot of kind of long-term pluses, but this immediate change is going to be very much felt. Okay. Let's see if actually, you know what? Let me, that's it for my slides, but I do want to mention one more thing. So with this change in the UCareer, we are also introducing new grades, right? And so these new grades will actually come with new grade ranges. Right now, we're in a situation where what we call is broad banding. We have very, very wide grades, meaning the dollar difference between the minimum and maximum of the grade is very large. In this new structure, the grade range will be tapered over time. So over the next 5 years, we will be slowly tapering the grade, and so we will be standardizing somewhat across the board pay for the positions. So your have and have-nots departments, you will see less and less differences between pay in the employees and in the same positions. When the grades will be introduced once the project is approved. We're not introducing grades right now. We're just kind of doing that soft launch of these are the career progressions and job codes that we're thinking about. There will be additional information that we will be releasing. Okay, Marie, do we have a minute for a question or two? Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay.
we have time.
I
And I
saw
know,
some-
David, you had raised your hand, and there have been some questions coming in the chat. So, David, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Tatiana, thank you for all of the work on this and all working with the group. I know this is a huge lift, and it's just really great to have this career step ladder to work up. The kind of natural question that's going to arise from this is, how do I get from, accountant 2 to accountant 3? And is that going to be left, other than the salary range that you just mentioned? Are the steps to do that going to be left entirely up to individual units and colleges, or is there going to be some guidance given from HR?
Uh, so kind of both. So guidance will be given. In fact, that's what I'm doing today. I'm writing the how to use the structures. It's a guide for vertical and horizontal promotions, right?
Okay.
We are leaving it up to the department to decide up to what level of the expertise they might need. So let me tell you really quick, we had actually a pilot of the U-Career. We're about offset by about a year with the pilot. And we also, as part of the pilot, we put ourselves, HR, through that exercise first because we wanted to go through it. So all of us are already on the 6-digit job codes. We've transitioned into this new structure. What happened is Jeff Herring, our CHRO, he actually sat down with all of the, what he calls the kind of the center of excellence for each of the units in HR. So for example, he sat down with me, he sat down with the director of benefits, with employee relations, and so on and so forth. And he basically said, okay, right now we have this workforce. Let's look at all of these positions we have and let's discuss what is the business need and up to what level do we really need this position, right? And so we've actually mapped out, like for my group, we need compensation analysts up to level 3. We need business intelligence analysts up to level 4. And so that was done for every group. So what Jeff did is he actually printed out a map, like literally physical map that he actually put on one of our like main public spaces in HR. And in that map, I, as an employee, can go to it and say, okay, so I'm in the compensation world. So this is my career progression. And I can see from support to management executive track, what are my opportunities? On the slides that I showed, you probably saw that like management and professional track, they have up to 7 levels. Well, Jeff already actually said, we've reviewed it. We've reviewed it against our budget, against business need. And so we've created a map that for compensation analysts, you can go, we will use 3 levels out of 7. And so that for me as an employee, it gives me a reference or a frame of discussion when I'm talking to my supervisor, right? So if I go and talk to my supervisor, I would say, right now I'm compensation analyst 1. How do I now move to the compensation analyst 2, which I see as a possibility for our department? It becomes a more productive conversation, less frustration and kind of more defined. So my supervisor can then say, okay, for you to get to level 2, you have to be in level 1 for 2 years and gain that experience. I can also add, I also want you to get this training. I want you to get certified in, I don't know, Excel. Some of these steps that I want you to have before you would get to this next level. So that's what we leave up to the departments to decide what, the promotion in those levels is not automatic, except I think 2 career progressions on campus that are automatic because it's just years in the seat. But for the rest of them, it has to be earned, deserved, discussed, and afforded by the department, right? So it needs to be planned and all of that. Well, actually, yeah, that I don't want to get too much into into details. Stop me. Help
No,
me.
thank you.
And I see, Blake, you have a question, and then we'll go from there to just review the questions in the chat.
Okay. Hi, Blake.
Yeah, I'm just curious if this is going to have any bearing on like internal job applications. Like if I'm looking to move from one department of the university to another, is this going to facilitate that better? Because I can more easily say, here's the level I'm at, here's what I've been doing. So is that at all part of this thought process?
Yeah, Blake. So my one of our goals, of course, we have very concrete goals behind this project, and one of them was the turnover, right? And we have two kinds of turnover. We have turnover where an employee is leaving the department for another department at the U, and then we have the turnover where employees just saying hasta la vista and just leaving us completely. So if we cannot prevent, for whatever reason, the turnover in the department, we want to at least keep the employee and their institutional knowledge and not have them walk out of the door. So we're hoping that that would improve. I mean, we're hoping for both internal and external.
Right.
But you're completely right. So this will put everybody kind of more on the same line, because now you're looking at, forgive me picking on accountants again, accountant one across the board, right? Or accountant two across the board.
Yeah.
The tricky thing here, Blake, and I'm sure that would be part of your thinking as well, is we have some departments that can afford to pay accountant two more than other departments who have accountants too. That's what we're trying to calibrate right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good questions. And Marie, you said in the chat room, let's see.
Yeah. So Sarah is asking if someone were to move from an exempt position into a non-exempt position, would their vacation accruals, would they change? They would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
All
will
right.
change. And
All right.
Sarah, that move is not really up to us. The Department of Labor dictates which positions will be exempt or non-exempt.
Got it. Here's a question from Kendall. Will the new grade ranges be enforced? They currently are not, and compensation is at the whim more of a department budget than anything. You kind of addressed that, but
yes,
that enforcement piece, is that?
So, I mean, enforced, the grade ranges are enforced now. It's just that we have a lot of employees in Q3 and Q4 of the grade ranges where we're kind of running out of space, right? And this is the broad-banded structure where we were trying to fit so many positions. It's something we've inherited, something we lived in. And by the way, it served us okay for a while, but we outgrew it. These new grades, because they will be tapered, they're not going, and kind of a smaller range, right? They're not going to be left unattended. They will be addressed and moved based on the 3-year average. So for the next 3 years, they won't move most likely, but they will be moving with your employees. So if you're paying somebody at the median, the grades will actually grow with them with the legislative increases. So you're not going to end up with the person who was at the median in 5 years, they're in Q4 all of a sudden. Yeah. It's not going to be like that.
Excellent. Here's another, this is a good question from Danny. Are those working job titles going to be the default titles in the university's records? For example, if a past employee calls the U for verification of employment, will their working title or their U career title be confirmed?
Danny, that's a fantastic question, and I actually have it as part of my to-do list to verify that. I am creating, by the way, we have a bank of questions that are about 100 questions that we will be posting to the website. And it's one of those that I'm actually researching. Because we don't do employment verifications, I'm reaching out to my colleagues, and we'll see. The preferred way for us would be the working title that we will exhibit. But it's also subject to what systems and what possibility is out there. Yeah.
Excellent. And a question from Kara, that's a good one. How are you considering staff who manage part-time staff, such as a student employee? Would they be considered part of the management track or the individual contributor track?
Oh, I love this question. So again, we're creating structures to help you run your business, right? We're not trying to create something that will hinder, and we definitely don't want to create structures to obey them for the sake of structures. So these support management professional tracks, we do have a definition for them. However, what we expect is probably about a 90% to 10% distribution of who is truly purely defined in that track. And let me explain. So for management track, the definition is that you have at least one direct report in PeopleSoft that you are managing, right? Very useful for us, by the way. I mean, this is something like in the days of COVID to identify all of the supervisors. That would have been super easy here. But in the management track, it can also be a home for positions like, let's say, project management, right? So because the majority of the managerial responsibility is relationship development, right? The assessment piece of that, like when you are reviewing and assessing employees, is a smaller piece of that than the actual relationship development and keeping things on track and expectation management and all of that. So if you have a position where, like a project manager, where they're facing a lot of outside vendors, inside interests, there's a lot of communication going around, and a lot of managing relationships and expectations. Absolutely, management track can be a very good home for that type of position or that type of employee, right? In the management track, eventually, we would like to tailor some of the trainings and offer courses to develop the managerial skills. And so we believe that positions like that would benefit from it. Similarly, in the professional track, if you have somebody who has yes, they have a direct report on record, but it truly is a dotted line and the person is really kind of reporting or working with somebody else. Maybe there's no reason for that person to be in the management track, and they would rather be in the professional and not worry about that managerial responsibility because they're not doing it. So we will leave it up to the departments, but we encourage about that 90-10 split there, where 90 pure definition, 10 some exceptions.
Okay, I see two more questions for you. This is awesome. Tatiana, it is so much fun having you in the hot seat. And whether you know it or not, there's tons of praise coming for you and your general awesomeness. So
thank you.
We should just bring you back like quarterly because this is fun. Arena wanted to know, she said you have mentioned the phrase if approved, a number of times. Who is it who is going to be approving or potentially vetoing this change?
Oh, I like that. I'll give you their name and their address, and then you guys can help me. I know. No, so when I say approved, this project has been monitored very closely by the senior management, obviously, because it has such a large impact, right? We have gone through the approvals or reviews, starting with the department administrators, and that's what the UCareer Alliance. We've had the feedback and all of that. So imagine we've created we're creating this beautiful code, right? We've done all these parts, we sewed it together, we took the measurements. Now is the time to just try it on and see if it needs tweaking. So I don't foresee that the UCareer project is not going to go through at all. Like we just said, you know what, this is not going to work for us. I don't think that's a possibility. What is a possibility is either it's going to be reviewed and they will say, hey, you know what, all of these placements are feasible, and you can go through, or they will say, we need to tweak some things and make sure that we can afford this, because now we're really looking at finance. Who will be reviewing that? Would be cabinet, C-level, finance. That's the final kind of wrap up approval. We've created a project. We taught the UCareer Alliance the project. Now we taught them how to use it, and we hope that we taught them correctly, because they're all brilliant people, but we're hoping that we did a good enough job to teach them how to use it, and this is the last test if they actually used it the way we designed it.
Intended. Excellent. Okay, I think one last chat chat question from Megan. In my experience, admin roles tend to wear 1,000 hats, and it makes defining roles and responsibilities difficult. How will you career help address that for the sake of standardization across departments that you mentioned?
The admin roles, by the way, I love you admin guys. You're like the what makes the world go round. Because we've done a deeper dive on the admin roles, we actually came up with the three main components that we wanted to be reflected, that are typically reflected in the admin roles. And the three were HR, operations, and budget. Okay, so, and I know there's plethora of different other ones, but that's what came up as the three. So we didn't have a job code that was reflecting these duties and responsibilities well. We had all three separately. We had an HR manager, operations manager, and budget manager, but we didn't have all three. So what we did was we actually jammed them together and we priced them accordingly. So now we have the administration management role. It is a career progression 829. You'll be able to see it next week if you want to pull it up, 829. And that career progression should be a good expression of the majority of the cases across campus. We also thrive or try to match a position to your qualifications at about 70%. So if it is about 70% correct, if we're getting that, then we say, you know what, it's a good match. We're pricing it correctly. And then the department, like if you're posting for administration manager positions and you have 70% match, you can actually list your own qualifications, or not qualifications, responsibilities and duties when you're posting the position to make it kind of more your own. So that's how we're addressing that. We have plenty of positions that we created what's called a composite, which is what this admin role is.
Excellent. Excellent.
Oh,
Let's
can I please mention something on the
Yeah.
There is one position that is not that should be included in phase one because it's one of those operational positions, but it is not. And we have quite a few employees in that, and that would be the administrative assistants. So administrative assistants, because they're so closely related to the executive track, we didn't want to now develop them and then change them potentially again. So we will be developing them along with the executive track, and that's when they will have that change. Because the positions we're looking at will be like, sorry, I have like a whiteboard here. That's where, so there'll be like a assistant to the board, assistant to vice president, president, dean, all of those different levels, and they have all the descriptions. So we'll match them. So if you are an administrative assistant, or if you are working closely with somebody, please tell them not to be sad. We will tackle that in phase two.
Excellent. Wow. Whew. So we have gone over time a little bit, but I think this has been amazing. And no, I think this has been amazing and important. And then just wondering if, and I'm just looking, Kara, I see a quick note from you that I can't talk and read at the same time, and I apologize. Yeah, I was just gonna say maybe we take a quick 5-minute break before we go on to, well, first of all, any more questions for Tatiana? You do not need to speak now. I'm gonna say, Tatiana, can people email you if they have any questions?
Yes, you can.
And there was also a request, if you feel comfortable, we'd love a copy of your slides to share in our next newsletter, sort of recapping today, because this has been amazing. So I would say, bless you, Emily. So I would say the downside of having your camera on and being on my screen. Anywho, so thank you again for your time and all this wonderful information and your hard work and your persistence and all of that. So anywho, so why don't we, thank you. And why don't we Kara, why don't we do this? Kara, why don't you give us an update and then let's take a 5-minute break and then let's come back and resume the rest of our liaisons.
Awesome.
Sound good?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Marie.
Yeah.
So I think you all know we haven't switched over. I'm Kara. I'm from the sustainability office. And I wanted to jump the line because I have a 3:30 meeting. But I wanted to make sure to share with you all. We got a presentation here a number of months ago. I want to say in April or May from Carrie Case when we jump-started the climate action plan. And so update is that we now have a steering committee that is in place that is actually being led also by Keith Diaz-Moore. So he's leading the Wellness and Resilience Task Force that Marie mentioned. He's doing a lot of strategic planning stuff across the university. Very cool sounding job. Hard though. So he is leading the steering committee for that. And then there are implementation working groups under each of the 4 main goal areas. And we have goals as a university, and this is all presidentially backed in research, in education, in mitigation, and in resilience. And so we wanted to make sure as the sustainability office that staff are really well aware of this because we are the ones doing this work. And so some of you might actually be tapped to be in some of these working groups. And if not, there are absolutely ways for you to get involved. And so if that's something you're interested in, would love to have you reach out to me. I don't have a presentation or anything, but I do have a slide that I'll share that has the names for each of the leads for each of those 4 goals, so that you can follow up with me or with those individuals if you are interested. And yes, thank you, Marie. UMC did an awesome job building that climate.utah.edu page that helps us track our progress on all the goals, because one of our values as part of the plan itself is transparency, being accountable to the things that we're doing and communicating out our successes and any of the challenges that we're meeting along the way. So this is a 1U plan. It covers all of our hospitals and clinics and main campus and academics and researchers and all of our different emissions. So that's my announcement. Thank you, Marie.
I love it. Thank you, Kara. That's amazing. Any questions for Kara before she runs to her next meeting? All right. Well, you know how to get a hold of her if you have any questions or want to get more involved. Fantastic. So how about this? It is 3:27. I'm going to channel my inner Harriet Hoff, who may or may not be on the call, and say, please let's return at how about 3:30? Let's be crazy, 3:33. Okay, so I'm going to turn off your monitor, mute yourself, and go do something not working for the next 5.5 minutes. We'll be back. All right. Looks like we are joining. I completely forgot which time I said we'd come back on. What time was it? 3:30, 3:33. That's right. Thank you. Okay, we got 2 more minutes to chill. Excellent. That was a crazy sound, Bree. That was nuts.
I know, sorry, my computer just like blacked out. So I had to restart and then I couldn't get in and I'm just,
Man, oh man.
it was good.
All
Okay.
right, we have roughly 30 seconds. I hope you all enjoyed your time away. I traveled. Okay, it's 3:33. I say let's hop back into it. So, thank you all for being flexible today with the schedule. This has been amazing. Starting at let me do this before I forget. Kim Barnett had to hop off for another meeting, but she just wanted to remind folks that registration for the annual Utah Campus Safety Summit opens next week. And she will send a link to the registration page when that's ready. So please know that. Excellent. And Andrea, I did not see Andrea Brown on the call. Bree or Mandy, do you know if there were any additional HR updates besides Tatiana?
Not that I'm aware of. Mandy may
Okay.
have more information.
Okay. And then I didn't see Amanda Garcia. Is Byron on the call from hospital HR? I'm not hearing anything, so I'm going to say no. Bree, how's it going? What's up with childcare for employees?
I don't really have a lot of updates. Marie and Mandy and we continue to work on our the employee childcare website, which is Marie's people in Marie's office are putting together a proposal. And so after that, we received that, then we are just going to start dumping. When I say we, I mean me. Scary. Dumping the content in. So hopefully that'll be up and running. And then we're meeting with some real estate folks next week, just so we can all get on the same page. There's been a lot of different childcare conversations going around at the U, and so I think we're all coming together just to kind of check in and see, what the status is, if there is a place to build new childcare programs, and so a variety of those. But that's exciting. So I will just keep you posted. Other than that, yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. That's awesome. That's exciting to hear about the real estate piece. Erin Sullivan, I thought I saw your face and or name on this call.
I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Just a reminder, I work in the Office of Equal Opportunity. The only update I guess I'll mention is that you probably all got the recent email with the compliance courses that we have to take, that annual mandatory training. One of those, lands in our court, the non-discrimination. So if you have any questions about that, there were some scenarios. It was a little bit more like kind of kept you on your toes more than the other two, with some quiz type of activity. So if you have any questions, let me know. You might have also noticed that we made sure to include the new requirements around like what all of our requirements are with regard to students who share that they're pregnant. So if anybody works with students and the student discloses that they're pregnant, you have a duty, it's a mandatory duty to connect them to me, basically, or my office, but it's basically me. And then I will make sure to support them in all the ways possible. So that is a new requirement under federal law. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I think my info is here somewhere on this chat. I'll also put the new rule. So there's a new university rule all about this in case it's helpful, that outlines everyone's obligations in that space. So that's my update.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year. Yeah.
And an interesting question came in from Melissa. And I don't know if this would be you or Solomon if he's on the call. Is there such a thing as expecting mothers parking?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we don't really have that necessarily. I know what you're talking about. In California, there was like, I think they called it stork parking, which was like always nice when you went to like Target or something. Um, we don't have that like per se outright, but if a student or employee needed a parking accommodation due to pregnancy or pregnancy related conditions, they should definitely connect with HR if they're an employee and they need closer parking to work, or the Center for Disability and Access if they're a student. I mean, parking is hard and the options aren't all that great, but we can certainly provide those options and make sure they know the different. I mean, we can kind of get creative, and there is kind of a menu of options they can choose from. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. That's a great question. And thank you, Erin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Erin? Okay. Mandy, what's going on with you and EAD?
Yeah, sorry, I feel crazy right now. My Costco delivery just got here, so I had to put stuff in the fridge really fast. So sorry if I'm feeling scatterbrained. Yeah, EAD, it's crazy to think EAD is in September, but yet this is the time of year when I reach out to the stadium and start trying to schedule it. We just basically have to wait for the Utes football schedule to be finalized. We just need to see when the home games are, and then that'll kind of determine when EAD will be this year. But again, historically, we always shoot for either the third or fourth Friday in September. As soon as I know, I will let everyone here know, and you will not stop hearing about EAD for every single meeting until September. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and that's really all I have.
Excellent, excellent. And then last but not least, is Solomon on the call? That's the only downside, is trying to find people on these calls. I am going to take that silence as no, he's not on the call right now. Fantastic. So it is 20 till. Before we wrap up our meeting, I'm just wondering if anyone wants to share any shout outs or any successes that they'd like to share with the group at large. I know I'm getting really excited to bring Bryant through to become our next president starting in July. So Bryant, please know I'm already feeling you and your imminent.
Okay, you were frozen for a second. You got to
okay.
hear.
Yay. I said yay for Bryant. I'm getting really excited.
Yeah, just let me know what I need to do. I'm excited as well. I'm
Emily.
not excited for David to leave us though.
I'm not excited for that either. I think, don't we just need to pass a bylaw that says he can't? I think.
I don't think he thinks so.
Oh man. Emily, you wanted to share something.
Yeah, I just wanted to promote an event real quick. Next Wednesday, I'm collaborating with the president's office, and we're doing a bear stuffing program happening at Callard Village, the residence hall, and then up here at the PHC, the Peterson Heritage Center. So it's January 15th, from 6 to 9. Elijah, is it 6 to 9 on the 15th? Barely. 6 to 8. Something like that. If you take any classes at all, and you're a student at the U, honestly, if you just find me and say, hey, I'm with you on staff council, and you want to come with the kids or whatever, come stuff a bear. We have 1,200 bears to give out between both locations. So feel free to stop by. It's going to be a really good time.
That's awesome. Isn't that part of Winter Welcome?
It is a part of Winter Welcome. Yes.
Winter Welcome. So just FYI that for anyone who is interested, the Office of Student Experience is also involved with that. And if you check out belong.utah.edu, you'll see all sorts of activities that are more they're student focused, right? But I hear on the street that stuffing bears is a thing. I hear it's a thing. So, David, will you be there with your son?
I may not, but I did want to give you a shout out because just over the course of this call, excluding all the other calls that we always have, you remember more URLs off the top of your head than anybody else I know.
Yay, Emily. Anyway, who else? Who else has got a shout out? Anything they want to share? I'm trying to drink more water, and it's nice to see, David, that you're hydrating too. So I'd like to encourage you all to imbibe. Okay. All right. Any final words? Otherwise, I say let us have just before we adjourn, just a reminder, we will have our next general meeting on February 5th. David, can you please remind me again who our guest speaker is going to be?
I think currently it is just the current president of the Utah Higher Education Staff Association, UUSC, which some of you on this council will know is Lisa Rigtrup, our previous president here. So she'll be coming and talking more in depth about UUSC.
Excellent. Excellent. Beautiful. And a final reminder, someone asked on the call earlier, if you are not part of staff council and you want to join, applications will be opening February 15th on our website, and the applications will be open for 2 months. They will close on April 15th, and then our lovely selections committee will go through and work their magic and see who our new group of council members are. So, okay. Would someone please make a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question? Absolutely. Yes.
Which
What's your
might
question?
It's like, might not even be, it's not even related to anything today. For the end of year social, is it possible that we can use staff council funds to get a jacket, since we all know everybody has been coveting some jacket or something of that? Is that something we can use to do the raffle, or is that not allowed of funding?
Melissa, why don't we have that conversation separately offline?
Yeah.
Let's have that conversation elsewhere.
It's getting to that season when we start planning.
Got it.
So
Yeah, let's have that conversation offline. That would be
Yeah.
great. Okay, so does anyone move that we adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Bryant, does anyone second? No, no one seconds.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Okay. I'm going to pass it over to you, Ashley, to finish.
It was such a great, I just came in real hot and now it's gone. We actually don't need a vote. We just need a motion and a second, and then we can adjourn.
Thank
So,
you. Okay.
yeah.
Bye. See you next month.
I know you said different treatments.